One of the things that lures people to movie theaters is getting a chance to experience cinematic delights on the big screen, and certainly the biggest screen you'll find is IMAX. Meaning maximum image, this large format filmmaking tool has been embraced by many a director in the years since it was first unveiled to the public in 1970. IMAX was created and developed by four Canadian friends: filmmakers Graham Ferguson and Roman Kreuter, politician Robert Kerr, and engineer William C. Shaw. They hit upon the idea of a screen size that would really engulf the audience and take up their entire field of vision, and got to work in the late 60s to make that possible. The first IMAX film was the 17-minute film Tiger Child, which premiered at the Expo 70 World's Fair in Osaka, Japan. The following year, an IMAX theater was opened in the Cinesphere Dome in Ontario Place, a theme park and exhibition place in Toronto, Canada. The first movie screened there was North of Superior, a travelogue film directed by Ferguson, which took viewers flying through the province. Like Tiger Child, it ran a little less than 20 minutes, as that was the longest length an IMAX reel could run. Said reels are massive, by the way, which is why the first few decades of the format's existence, it could only show short films, often documentaries. The IMAX cameras themselves are also massive and quite noisy, so a lot of the early filmmakers who used them tended to be nature documentarians. In addition to the traditional IMAX screen, the same company also developed Omnimax, which has a screen go over the heads of viewers, immersing them completely in the world shown. This was first presented in 1973 and is primarily opened at science museums to present documentaries. One Omnimax screen opened at the Ontario Science Centre in 1996, and one of my fondest movie-going memories is seeing Ben Burt's short documentary, Special Effects, Anything Can Happen There. I absolutely love this documentary, and the 180-degree screen allowed the audience to immerse themselves in scenes from movies like Star Wars and Jumanji, as well as the technical wizardry that went into creating them. The theater was right in the front lobby and was a great way to begin a visit at the Science Centre, although the building is now closed due to very fishy political reasons I won't get into. Theme park attractions would also begin using the IMAX technology, with Back to the Future the Ride at Universal Studios being one such example. Back to regular IMAX, the documentary's screen on there would receive considerable acclaim, with the eruption of Mount St. Helens becoming the first to receive an Oscar nomination. Other IMAX documentaries that would earn recognition from the Academy include Special Effects, Fires of Kuwait, Alaska, Spirit of the Wild, and Dolphins. Of course, the hope of IMAX was always to move beyond short documentaries and show all sorts of films of any length. The Rolling Stones would release their 89-minute concert film, Stones at the Max, in IMAX. The first feature-length film to be shot in IMAX, the intention was to make the audience feel like they were actually at one of their concerts, and reportedly did quite well. French director Jean Jacquinot directed a narrative short film for IMAX titled Wings of Courage in 1995, and while it was more admired for its camera work than the script, it showed the format could also tackle stories beyond our real life. The first true test of IMAX being capable of bringing to life any kind of visual was when Disney struck a deal with them to release Fantasia 2000 exclusively in IMAX for its first 4 months of exhibition. Much like Walt Disney used the first film to experiment with sound technology, Disney wanted to see if this massive screen would be an ideal fit for their animated films. The result was considered an achievement for IMAX, with an incredible sound system and bright colors of the animation enhancing the film for many. The massive screen was an appropriate fit for segments that showed the journey of Noah's Ark in Pomp and Circumstance, or the flying whales over the sky in Pines of Rome, although they were also required to stretch out the Sorcerer's Apprentice segment to fill the screen, with some critics finding that somewhat affected the image. Playing on those 54 screens available in North America at the time, Fantasia 2000 would pull in consistent numbers during its IMAX run. However, when the movie was released in conventional theaters a few months later, not many went. Nonetheless, that movie showed the potential for commercial films in the format. Some months later, IMAX released the animated compilation film Cyberworld, which in addition to new material, also included clips from Ants and the Homer Cube segment from The Simpsons episode Treehouse of Horror 6. Disney would also continue working with IMAX, re-releasing Beauty and the Beast in their theaters with a special edition that included a newly animated song. Several months later, The Lion King would also get an IMAX re-release, and then Treasure Planet became the first film to be released in both conventional and IMAX theaters at the same time. Disney had actually planned to do re-releases of Aladdin, The Little Mermaid, and Tarzan in IMAX as well, but these ended up being cancelled, reportedly because Disney was disappointed in the grosses Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King pulled in. Nonetheless, Disney opened the floodgates for other studios to release their films in this format. A major one was Star Wars Episode II: Attack the Clones. That movie received a lot of attention for being filmed on digital cameras, with George Lucas hoping theaters would screen it digitally rather than on 35mm film projectors, although not many did. Thus, IMAX became a natural way to screen the film, although limitations at the time meant the version screened in those theaters was about 20 minutes shorter. Meanwhile, much like Disney, other studios saw the possibility of re-releasing films in IMAX, and with its outer space scenes, Ron Howard's Apollo 13 was one such fitting choice. A movie that would really propel IMAX as a tool that could enhance the film-going experience is The Polar Express. With Robert Zemeckis taking viewers through sweeping shots of the train and the snow-covered landscapes in 3D, the movie was considered a must-see event in IMAX, with a significant portion of people choosing to see it that way over traditional theaters. Warner Brothers would immediately make it an annual tradition to re-release the film in IMAX, with the 2005 reissue bringing in over $10 million. With IMAX switching to digital projection, that would also help longer movies get shown in the format, and more blockbusters would find themselves occupying those screens, including Marvel movies and entries in the Harry Potter franchise. A major champion of IMAX has been Christopher Nolan, who's frequently said he views it as the best way to watch movies and makes a point to film several scenes in IMAX. For The Dark Knight, he filmed almost 30 minutes of the movie with IMAX cameras, primarily action sequences, and since then, as IMAX continued to improve their cameras, he has filmed even more parts of his movies that way. Plenty of other filmmakers followed suit, seeing the endless possibilities of filming for the large screen. A notable example is Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, which made a point to film some of Tom Cruise's most death-defying stunts in IMAX. The movie was released exclusively in IMAX for its first 5 days, and thanks to strong early word of mouth over the action sequences, it managed to reach number 3 on the box office charts. You also have Avatar, which made a large chunk of its record-breaking box office on IMAX 3D screens, as moviegoers excitedly wanted to immerse themselves in Pandora. You also have cases where the IMAX version features more of the movie than in traditional theaters. For example, for the release of Disney's live-action Beauty and the Beast remake in IMAX, they expanded the film on the top and bottom to allow viewers to see even more of the Beast Castle and other locations. Nowadays, it's basically become the norm for any major blockbuster to be released in IMAX, with even indie film distributors like A24 getting in on the action with some of their releases. Television show episodes have also screened in IMAX for special events like Game of Thrones and the first 2 episodes of the short-lived Marvel show Inhumans. Although as IMAX's popularity continues to rise, there have been the occasional problems. For example, not every IMAX screen is built the same. Some are the massive size associated with the brand, while others only slightly bigger than the other premium format screens in your typical movie theater, leading to the derisive term LIMAX. As more films play in IMAX, you also have many that fight for space. Last year, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning opened in IMAX, which has become the norm for the franchise. However, it only held onto those screens for a week, as Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer would take them over and result in sold-out showings, especially the one showing 70mm prints. Why Paramount decided to release the film on that date, knowing IMAX's loyalty for Nolan, I have no idea, but it's an example of how IMAX availability should also play a role in release scheduling these days. There are also examples of a movie attracting so few ticket buyers that theaters will decide to screen a film from weeks prior. Recently, The Wild Robot had to vacate many of its IMAX screens after its opening week because of Joker Folie à Deux coming in. However, after Joker flopped, several theaters would remove it and bring back Wild Robot. Even with those issues, the breakdown in the numbers shows that many viewers are willing to pay extra to watch the newest movies in IMAX, and it's completely understandable why. People go to the movies to experience another world and immerse themselves in the filmmaker's imagination, and IMAX absolutely provides that. It's gone from just showing short documentaries to now having the entirety of big movies like the last 2 Avengers sequels being shot in IMAX. It's truly remarkable what has been achieved with this format that all started with a group of visionary Canadians. See you next time.